In Chapter 1 of Island of the Blue Dolphins, Karana and Rama were digging roots, and Karana saw a ship, but did not say, because Rama will go crazy. Rama is like a lizard. His eyes are big and black, and like a lizard, but they look sleepy, like he was sitting on a rock about to catch a fly. Rama began to stand up. He said, "The ocean is like a stone with no scratches." Rama likes to pretend one thing is the other. Then Ramo said, "I see, a canoe, a big canoe," and he ran down to the mesa. The ship arrived. Everyone from Galasat was ready to attack. The ship came, and the leader was named Captain Orlov.
In Chapter 2 of Island of the Blue Dolphins, Ramo and Ulap were watching Captain Orlov. They told people how he brushes his hair and it shines in the sunlight, and how he goes out every morning and smells the fresh sea air. But nobody believed them. While Ulap was gathering shellfish, she saw large sea bass and ran to Karana. She told her father, and her father told people of Galasat. Then they killed all the sea bass, and it lasted for weeks, and it was a great fortune for Galasat.
In Chapter 3 of Island of the Blue Dolphins, the sea red with blood and carcasses everywhere, the Aleuts are hunting down the sea otters. They have killed most of them. There are only a couple left. Karna does not like this. She told her father. While looking at the sea, he laughs. At night time, Aleup and Ramo would spy and bring back news to the trap. Aleup said that the woman Aleup spent all afternoon cleaning her skimming apron. Ramo said that Captain Orlov was trimming his beard the way he stepped foot on the island on the first day.
In Chapter 4 of Island of the Blue Dolphins, a storm would certainly strike. The Aleuts hadn't paid for the otter that they had killed. Ulop's father made a deal. It was for 1 otter pelt for 2 spearheads and several necklaces. The Aleuts did not have enough to pay Ulop's father, so Ulop's father's tribe started to throw rocks at the Aleuts. The Aleuts did not like this, so the Aleuts pulled out their knives, and there was a battle. The Aleuts sadly won. In the end, Captain Orlov died in the battle.
In Chapter 5 of Island of the Blue Dolphins, there are 42 men left, counting the men that were told to fight. At night, the woman carried back all the men that passed away. There was a storm that lasted 2 days. On the 3rd day, they buried the dead men. Since the chief died, Kimki took over. The women usually cooked the food and made clothing, started having to hunt like the men usually did. Ulape and Karana gathered abalones. Karana and Ulape's little brother Rama was in charge of keeping the abalone safe from the gulls and wild dogs. And a lot of the animals left when their owners died. They only came back to steal food. Every day, Ulape and Karana helped Rama put the abalones in the baskets and carried them to the village. That night, everybody sat around the fire and talked as the wind blew.
In Chapter 6 of Island of the Blue Dolphin, Kimki did not return from the sea. We are watching for the Aleuts to return because we are ready to fight them again. But it was a ship with white men and white sails. The white men were taking us where Kimki went to. We were fearful and happy.
In Chapter 7 of Island of the Blue Dolphins, Ramo did not listen to Karana and went back to get his fishing spear. Since they were on a ship, Karana told Matisap to turn the ship around because Ramo was not on it. But Matisap said that another ship would come back to get Ramo another day. But Karana wouldn't let her brother be alone, so she jumped off the ship and into the water. Since Karana's things she had brought were too heavy, she let them sink into the water so she could swim. There was also a storm that was difficult for Karana to swim through.
In Island of the Blue Dolphins, in Chapter 8, Ramo said that he'll now be the chief of Galasat. Ramo said that he'll go where the canoes were stored. But Karana said, "No, not right now. We'll go in the morning." Ramo did not listen, and he went during the night when Karana was still sleeping. When Karana awoke, she noticed that Ramo was gone. So, in the morning, When she woke up, she went searching for him. She could not find him, so she went down the path. She heard wild dogs barking, and then she wondered what it was. When she got closer, she could hear it even louder. And she couldn't see anything because it was so foggy, so she climbed up a cliff. She saw a pack of wild dogs pacing in a circle. She wondered what they're pacing in a circle about. And then she looked closer and she saw Rama lying dead in the middle with a wound in his neck. There was blood everywhere. She was so sad, and she carried him home to the hut and down to the beach to go bury him.
In Chapter 9 of Island of the Blue Dolphins, Karana was alone on the island. She burnt down the village of Galasat with fire. The only thing that was left of the village was crisps and ashes from the village. Karana was walking to the area she decided to sleep. Karana found a high rock. She slept there that night. The wild dogs that killed Rama would not be able to reach her. Karana made a spear, bow, and arrow out of sinew. Karana needed them in case she saw the wild dogs she wanted to kill. She went back to the rock. Karana was safe there.
In Chapter 10 of Island of the Blue Dolphin, it was summer and it had good weather. So she watched for ships to come back, but they didn't. There were storms and I killed 3 dogs. And I was lonely. I slid the smallest canoe into the water. I paddled hard to get away from the island. I was afraid and used the stars to steer the canoe. The canoe started to leak, which I fixed with a piece of grass for my skirt. I kept paddling and decided to return to my island. Blue dolphins helped me feel better. I made it back to my island and slept, not thinking of wild dogs.
In Chapter 11 of Island of the Blue Dolphins, Karana explored her island. She saw sea elephants and the wild dogs there. She needed a safe place to build her house. It rained for 2 days and she couldn't build a fire. She needed to kill the wild dogs and keep her food away from all the wild foxes too.
Chapter 12 of Island of the Blue Dolphin, Karana made herself a house. The house was built out of a large rock. She built a fence around her house. The fence was made out of whale ribs she found on the beach. She made shelves inside her house. She carved the shelves out of a large rock. She built herself a fire to keep her warm. After she completed her house, the grass turned bright green and the sky turned blue.
In Chapter 13 of Island of the Blue Dolphin, Karana was afraid that the sea elephant bulls would turn on her, and she would be hurt and not be able to fight off the wild dogs. She wanted to kill the sea elephant bull with her bow and arrow, but she tripped on a rock, fell on her knee, and felt a sharp pain, and she could not fight the sea elephant bulls. The end.
In Chapter 14 of Island of the Blue Dolphin, Karana had a leg injury. She had to go walk to get water because she was low. She started to crawl to the ravine. It was a sunny and normal wind day. As she was crawling, she saw the wild dog pack in a bush. She got into the cave and she was safe. She stayed there for 6 suns. There was carvings on the wall. Karana's leg healed. Then she made spear tips from sea elephant tusks.
Island of the Blue Dolphins, Chapter 15. There had always been wild dogs on the Island of the Blue Dolphins, but after the Lutes had slain most our men, the Lutes dogs joined the pack. When they joined the pack became much stronger because its leader was an Aleut dog and much bigger than any dog from our island. He had short hair and brown eyes. Karana already murdered 4 of the dogs, but there were still many left. One night she went to the dog cave with her bow and arrows. She set some brush on fire and pushed it into the cave. The fire burned high, but the wild dogs heard her. She climbed up a nearby rock ledge. She only had 5 arrows, but if she killed the leader, she would be satisfied. None of the dogs came out until after the fire died. Unlike the other dogs, when the leader came out,
He did not run away. He did not see Corona until she raised her bow, but he was not frightened. Corona shot him in the chest. Then 3 dogs attacked, and Corona killed 2. When Corona went back for the leader, he was gone. Then she found his uneven footprints, but lost them in the darkness of night. It rained the next 2 days, and she could not look for him. On the 3rd day, she found him, and he had the broken arrow in his chest. His body was limp, but he was alive. She took the arrow out of his chest and carried him back to her house to clean the wound. Corona fed him and gave him water for 4 days. On the 4th day, he left, but Corona had a strange feeling. She looked for him, calling dog because he didn't have a name yet. Then Corona made him Rontu, which in her language meant fox eyes.
In chapter 16 of Island the Blue Dolphin, the white man's ship did not come that spring or summer. I was not sure what I would do if the Aleuts did come. That day, Rontu and Corona went to go hide her canoe, and Rontu was staring in the water. Then Corona looked. It was a devilfish, Corona said. That's the biggest one I ever seen. Once I went for my spear, the devilfish saw my movement, and squirt, ink was everywhere. I was pretty sure it was gone.
Chapter 17 of Island of the Blue Dolphin. It was a rainy day, and wind struck, and the air filled with sand. Rontu was sleeping while Corona was making a dress and a spear for her to catch the devilfish. The next morning, she left the gate open for Rontu, and he did not return. That morning, Corona went to the ravine and tried to catch the devilfish. She was sad Rontu left, but knew he was going to come back.
In chapter 18 of Island of Blue Dolphins, there were many flowers that sprung that day. Birds were chirping, but 2 birds planted 2 speckled eggs. A few days later, the eggs hatched. Corona kept them and named them Tainer. She named him after a man that died in the fight, and Lunar, which was the name Corona wished to be named. Corona raised the 2 birds and clipped their wings so they could not fly away. They hopped around the house and yard. Before long, their wings grew back, but this time Corona did not clip them. But luckily, they only flew as far as the cave, and always came back for food. By this time, Rontu had gotten used to them.
In chapter 19 of Island of the Blue Dolphins, Corona and her dog went in the cave with her canoe and spear, hoping to strike a devilfish. But Corona won the biggest one. Corona almost got it. A black cloud appeared in the water. Corona can hear the gulls from far away. Maybe next time she can catch a devilfish.
In chapter 20 of Island of the Blue Dolphins, Corona was entering a small opening to a cave with Rontu. She and Rontu had to crouch low to get through the small opening. Once they got through the small opening, they were in a room. Light shimmered out of small crevices. There was another small opening. She and Rontu went to the small opening. They were in another room. Corona saw weird figures, and there were about 24 of them standing. They were tall with black arms and legs. One of them wore a cormorant feather skirt. The one that wore the cormorant feather skirt was sitting down. It was playing a pelican bone flute. Corona knew that the one that was sitting down was her ancestor. All of the figure's eyes were glittering. Corona thought that she should get out before the tide came in. But when she was at the small opening, it was too small to go through. Soon the small opening was gone, so she settled in the cave until the tide came down. The water lapped against the walls. The next morning, Corona and Rontu got out of the cave. She was back on the headland again, and that was the end of chapter 20.
In chapter 21 of Island of the Blue Dolphins, Corona did not take Rontu when she left the cave that night, because she was afraid if the Aleuts brought their dogs, they would sniff Rontu out.
She was not afraid the men would find her. She was afraid of the girl. She was scared the girl would find her footprints that led to the cave. Karana had gone outside to work on her cormorant skirt with Rontu. When Rontu leaped to his feet, the girl had found them. With one movement, Karana would throw her spear. The girl pointed to herself and said, "Tutak." Karana did not say her name. By night, Karana was ready to go to the west part of the island. Karana carried the 5 baskets to the canoe. When she went back to the cave, she felt someone had been there. Then on the step to get to the cave, there was a necklace of black stones, a kind she had never seen.
Island of the Blue Dolphins, Chapter 22. I did not go back to the cave, nor did I take the necklace from the rock. I hid on a ledge and waited to see if the girl would come back. I wanted to jump down and count the beads to see if it would wrap around my neck. Rontu barked, then I heard footsteps. The girl appeared from the brush. When she saw the necklace, she grew silent. Immediately, I jumped down and put the necklace on. It did not wrap around my neck once, but twice. I said what meant beautiful in my language. The girl told me her name, Tutuk. The next day, the Lutes left the island, and so did the girl.
In Chapter 23 of Island of the Blue Dolphin, Karana finds a baby sea otter and decides to take care of it. She brings 2 fish a day, then 4, then finally 6, and soon it would eat from her hand. A 2-day storm came and Karana couldn't feed him. She decided to name him Monani while she was inside. The day after the storm, she went to visit Monani, but when she got there, Monani was gone.
She was glad but sad because he was back where he was blind.
In Chapter 5 of Island of the Blue Dolphins, water ran in the ravines and flowed to the sea. Many birds came back to the island. Tanner and Lorai built a nest in a tree where they were born. They built it out of dry seaweed and leaves, and also with hairs off Rontu's back. Whenever he was in the yard while it was being made, they would swoop down if he was not looking and snatch a beak full of fur and fly away. This he did not like, and he finally hid from them until the nest was finished.
In Chapter 25 of Island of the Blue Dolphins, the otters stayed the summer that Rontu died. Rontu went out and did not come back in the morning. Karana went to look for Rontu at dusk the next day. She buried Rontu on the headland with pebbles, sandflowers, and the stick he loved to chase.
In Chapter 26 of Island of the Blue Dolphins, there was strong winds and rain. Karana was trying to catch a dog that looked like Rontu, and one day Karana broke tulachweed into pieces and put it in the spring for the wild dogs to drink. When the wild dogs drank the water, nothing happened. Then Karana thought of zulach, which was made from grounded up seashell and wild tobacco. Karana put this in a bowl of water for the dogs to drink. When the wild dogs drank the water, they fell asleep. Finally, Karana found the dog she wanted. She quickly carried him to the headland. She named the wild dog Rontu Aru.
In Chapter 27 of the Island of the Blue Dolphins, the air so heavy and the sun so warm. It was the hottest day of the year. Karana had not slept long. She walked out of her hut and went to the headland. Then an earthquake struck. Then Karana got stuck in the headland.
In Chapter 28, Karana took a long walk on the beach, looking for canoe pieces. When she found enough pieces, she began to work on the new canoe.
Chapter 29 of Island of the Blue Dolphins, the last chapter. Karana looked towards the cliff. She saw the white men, but she didn't know if they were Lutes or white men. The white men were shouting her name until nighttime. The next day, Karana showed herself. The white men made her a new dress out of denim jean. Karana was confused.
Corona was puzzled. Corona didn't know what this thing was. She didn't like it.